Hello everybody, it's CW here, and today we're gonna learn how to do basic tasks in programming. In this first episode, we're gonna take a look at how you can make your own calculator. Mind that this calculator is very basic and very beginner friendly, so it's not particularly useful, but but it can be a good practice for your programming venture and your practice. So let's begin. So first of all, we need two values that we can do math operations on. So we'll have double A and double B. Now what we must have is a variable that will determine whether we're doing a subtracting, adding, multiplying, or dividing. So we'll take an integer, let's say n, and we'll so with this variable and with if conditions, we will determine whether we're adding, subtracting, or multiplying, dividing, etc. For example, when n is going to be equal 1, we will be adding. When our n is going to be equal 2, we will be subtracting, and so on and so on. So for now, let's do console write line, and let's do some aesthetic work at first. We will do enter first number. We'll do it like that. This is going to be our basic input. Let's take a look. That asks us to enter our first number. Now, how do we do input in C#? We've declared A here, so now we go A. Now we go A equals convert to int, convert to integer 32, console read line and brackets. For now, as a beginner, you don't really need to learn what all this code does. Just mind when you're trying to declare an input, a user input for a double or an integer, you gotta use convert to integer and console read line in these two brackets. Let's do the same for our second number. Console write line, enter second number, and B equals convert to console read line. Here we go. So now what we have are two numbers. Now what we need is conditions under which we will perform different operations. So we go if, oh, I almost forgot, we have to do an input for our n, which will be our, let's say, conditional number. So let's do console write line. So let's say 1 will be adding, 2 subtracting, 3 multiplying. I have no idea if I spelled that right, and for dividing. And let's do a user input n equals console fuck my life, n equals convert to integer console read line brackets, and we have all the necessary variables declared. So next thing we gotta do are if statements. So if our n equals, that's a programming, and basically in all programming languages, two equal signs refer to a equal operator. So let's say like this. This condition is true if n equals 1, and this condition is false in every other way. So if n equals 1, like we said, 1 for adding, we go to, and yes, we must declare a double result, and it's spelled without an O. Double result, we go result equals a plus b, console right line, and we output result. So now we have our first conditional statement for adding two numbers. Mind you that these numbers could be integers, but I gave them a double variable type for usage in dividing. So let's move forward. We go else, we do a else if, my god, else if n equals 2 statement. So why do we have an else here? Well, we use else to, I'll put it like this. when our first if is false, let's say our n is 2, this is clearly false. When our first if is false, it automatically moves to a next else statement. So our next else statement is our else if. When this is false, it will move to a next else statement, which we will have else if n equals 3, and our statement right here. How is this different from not having else's in front of our if condition? Well, technically there will be no difference when we will output our result, but when our compiler compiles our code, the first else if statement that will be true, it will terminate all other. So let's say n equals 2. So we use this code to basically do a faster calculation. So when we use if else statements, it stops all the comparisons as soon as the condition is true. So if n is actually equal to 2, it won't even look at our else if n equals 3. I'll show you an article which you can read. Let's see, it's right here. Wait a second. Here. So if else statements stop doing comparisons as soon as it finds that is true. If does every comparison. The first is more efficient. So I showed you the more efficient way to do it. So now let's just finish our task. Here result equals to, we gotta have a bigger number, so 2. Here result equals to a times b. We have else if n equals 4. Result equals to divided by b. We have to have another else statement that will just say console write line wrong number. Let's actually test this out. So okay, so here we go. We have to enter our first number. Let's say we're gonna do dividing. So we will enter 8. Oh my god. What's happening? So yeah, we're gonna enter 8. Second number will be 4. And we will do dividing. So stupid, I forgot the outputs. Yeah, it can be like that, but sick for the tutorial, I'm gonna have it like this. Let's do it. Our first number 8, 4, and 4 is dividing. Yeah, and the result is 2. So if we ramp it all up, we have 3 variables type double, 1 variable type integer, which is our condition variable. We input all of our numbers and we check conditions. If our condition variable equals to any of these conditions, we perform a math operation according to that condition. So if we would have, like, for let's say 7 and 3, and we want to do subtracting, the result will be 4. 7 minus 3 equals 4. 2 is our condition variable, and this condition was executed. So that's all for this simple calculator. This isn't very useful, but it's a way to test very basic programming skills, and today we did it with C#. So that's all for today. Goodbye.